So for those of you that live in states where you've got pine cones, and we happen to live in the pine tree state up here in Maine, they work great for fire starters. Whether it be a wood cook stove in your kitchen or your wood boiler in your basement. A lot of us in Maine heat predominantly with wood. But these little pine cones are typically really dry by the point that they fall come this point of the year, and really sappy. If you can see my fingers, they're all sappy. So what we do is we go through and we collect these up, dry them out next to the cook stove for a couple weeks, and store them for winter, and they work great. One piece of newspaper under a few of these and your fires start off really good. So I like to try to pick up the little pine cones. You can see how all these little seed pods are all open, opposed to this one here where everything's closed up really tight. This happens to be one I would keep just because of the amount of pitch on it, but I find these that are all fanned out and open to be a lot more beneficial and a lot less drying time. So we'll show you my process on how I pick these up and collect them for winter. So I have what I think is probably a 15-gallon barrel here. Comes from one of the local dairy farms. So what I do is cut myself out a little opening. I leave the handle on there, and then I just set out through the woods and start picking them up. Not too close. And it doesn't take but probably, I've been working at this maybe 10 minutes, and my bucket's nearly full. We usually save 2-3 of these buckets throughout the winter, and that more than fulfills our needs. With a fine specimen like this great big pine tree behind you, it's a white pine, that's mostly what we have up here in Maine. Most years they bear a fair amount of these seed pods or pine cones. Some years you don't get as many, so if you're kind of depending on these, it's not a bad idea if you got a little storage space to stay a year or so ahead in case you have a year that doesn't produce very much. But hopefully this works out for you. It's just one little tip that we use up here to save on making kindling, start our fires. Thanks. So after we get the bucket full, we got one done tonight. It got really dark on us, but this time of year we're running our wood cook stove almost every evening, so I'll bring this bucket in and we'll leave it in here for a couple weeks or so, let it sit here and dehumidify, and then we can get it out on the back porch and they'll be pretty well preserved for the rest of the year.